I started when I was little. I thought that what I do now was normal. They said it wasn't normal. They said I was a sender or a receiver. And in the 2nd grade, I didn't know what that was, much less did I care. What was interesting is I've always lived by my intuitive gifts because I didn't know any better. And I thought everybody else did the same. And since we're orienting this toward animals tonight, I want to give you a little insight of how I got there. I started off, and my fiance was killed. He was in a car wreck. He died between Sanford, he died on the Moncure Bridge, and here. And it upset me. And so I went to see him, and he was laid out in the Pittsburgh morgue, and I said, "You can't do this to me. You're my absolute best friend. And I don't know where you are, but wherever you are, I'm coming to find you, because you're not going to leave me here like this." And that started my journey. So I was sitting around crying one day, and I was looking into my little framed picture of Mike, and I said, "This is just horrible." Of course, I'd been crying for about 3 to 5 years at that point in time, and I said, "This is terrible. I can't do this anymore." And from the picture, he said, "Well, I'll be back. Get yourself a new view." And I went, "What? Dead boyfriends don't talk, much less their picture." And he said, "Well, I did the hard part. The steering wheel went through my chest. You're just sitting here crying." Okay, yeah, well, that's sort of a sobering comment when you have somebody from the other side tell you that. I thought, So that took me a year to think about. And I considered, I still cried, and year 7 came. And when all of this started, all of the gifts that I had just considered normal came full bore out. I was seeing things, I was hearing things, I was looking at things, I was, you name it, because I'm the 5 Claires. And there they all were, and I thought I was going, whoo, hoo, 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 but I wasn't. So I went to Duke, where they had originally trained me, and I said, "Y'all, I'm going crazy. Can you tell me what's going on?" And they said, "Well, why don't you wait?" And I said, "Look, I want to see the man who's head of the Duke Integrated Medical Center." And they said, "Fine." So I sat for 6 hours in the reception area, and everybody would say, "Ma'am, can we help you?" And I'd say, "No, I'm waiting for the man from the Integrated Medical Center." About 6.5 hours, I'm still sitting there. I'm not moving, because it's either move and go crazy or sit there and be told, "Maybe you can go somewhere." And this man sticks his head in, and he says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm waiting for the head of the medical center." And he said, "Well, my name's Larry Burke, and I'm it." And I went, "Really?" So with that, we went to, he was teaching a class. He was head of radiology, and he was teaching a class. And you go into the Duke MRI Center, and there's this huge wall of x-rays. And he says to me, "Look at this wall of x-rays." He said, "What do you see up there?" And I said, "Well, this one's got this, and this one's got that, and this one's got that, and this one." And I started telling him everything that was in the x-rays and what they all had. And he said, "And how do you know that?" And I went, "The voice is in my head." And he went, "What?" And I said, "The voice is in my head." He went, So he said, "Well, come on into my class and let's me talk to your class." So we go into the class, and he starts to pull up another round of x-rays. Well, they wouldn't come up. And he's sitting there, and he's playing with the machine. He's trying to pull them up, and they won't come up. Well, I'm thinking this is a good time to go to the bathroom, right? So I walked to him and said, "Can I go to the loo while you're trying to get the machine up?" He said, "Look, I've been in this MRI center for years. It's never happened. The computers have never gone down." I said, "I don't care. Can I go to the loo?" And he said, "Sure, go on." So I go to the loo. All the things come up. So I come back, walk in the door, all the things go down. And he stands and he looks at me and goes, and I went, "Don't look at me funny. I told you I'm here to try and find out what's wrong, but it's not that wrong." And he said, No. Do me a favor. Step outside the door again." And I went, "Okay." So I walk outside the door. All the x-rays come up. He said, "Come on back in here." So I go back in, and he said, he put his arm around me to be real friendly about this. He said, "Folks, I want you to know this is an example of energy out of control." And I went, "Oh, thank you." So he said, "Come on to my office. You're a medical intuitive." I went, "A what?" He said, "A medical intuitive." I went, "Uh-huh." I said, I don't do this airy-fairy stuff. I'm not one of those. You know, I don't have the body for the veily things. The patchouli I'm allergic to. And the shoes, no. So he said, come on. So he gives me all these books and he says, take them home. And I went, why not? Because, I mean, you know, your boyfriend's dead, you don't care whether you live or not, and all these things are exploding in your life, and you're thinking, woo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And so with that, I go home and I read all these things, and I can do them. And I went, well, this is sort of cool. So I played with them for a while, but it scared me. And a friend of mine for my birthday, after Mike had passed, said, let me take you to a psychic. She did the work for the NASCAR drivers, and let me get you a reading. Well, I reared back and said, I don't go to psychics. She went, you're going. I went, okay. So we go, and she later became one of my very good friends and my mentors, and she said, you're going to see inside bodies like Superman. And I went, uh-huh. So I came home, and they said, what did you do? I said, she told me I was going to see inside bodies like Superman. I said, you know those psychics, they're a little strange. So with that, I was standing around one day and I was telling a friend of mine, and he says, well, why don't you just look inside my body? And I said, sure. So I said, let me see your heart. And with that, I could see his heart beating, full-blown vascular system and everything. It made me so sick, I almost passed out and I sat down on the ground. I just didn't know how to handle it, and it scared me really bad. But I thought, So anyway, the bottom line is, one of the things I can do is to look inside bodies and see your organs and your pancreas and your nerves and your brains and your tumors and whatever. And I did a long career of that. I was helping people medically, except Mike died. And I was still trying to find Mike because that was more important than anything, although he set off my gifts. Now, at this same time, Mike is trying to show up in what I call steam form or spirit form, and I'm going, don't you do that? Nope. I said, you're going to scare me to death. I'll have a heart attack. I can't live through this. He said, fine, I won't show up. Well, he kept doing these little things, and he says, want to touch me from the other side? I said, are you crazy? I don't do stuff like that. I wasn't brought up like that. I'm scared. That's not Christian. Are you crazy? You're crazy. And I went, He said, would you like me to touch your hand? I went, Mike. Well, that took me about 6 months to get used to. And he would say to me, let me teach you from the other side. And I'm going, will anybody know about it? He went, no, just you and me. And I went, nobody will know about it? He went, no. And I went, okay, let's try. So he said, now put your hand out and let you feel my hand. Holy Jesus. And there he was, I could feel him. And I went, well, this is sort of cool. So anyway, we did lots of things, and he taught me how to connect with the other side, communicate with them, feel the energy, and connect. And because I trusted Mike in life, I trusted him in death. So then people started asking me about this stuff, and it was, of course, I was still adapting to this being spiritual, because my mother says, don't tell anybody what you do. Now, I've been doing this almost 20 years now, and Mother says, now, honey, when we go to dinner, don't tell them what you do. Okay, Mom, we got that. So off we go, and about that time, I had a little dog born to me, which I was going to bring tonight, but he got stolen. Somebody went in my car, broke the door of my car, and stole Friend. When they stole him, he was in the middle of Atlanta. It was on Peachtree and Roswell at rush hour traffic. He got out of their arms, ran across the street, and it hit him so hard that it split his lungs open, broke his vertebrae, and shoved all of his intestines over to one side. And they didn't think he was going to make it, but he did. But Friend was born with a B on his bottom. Now, God knew I wasn't too quick on signs, so he put this B on Friend, and it's about a 19.5-inch white B. Now, the interesting part of this is, and this is where I start the story in my little book here. Now, you're all spiritual, so you'll understand this. What are the odds of the breeder taking a picture of this dog the day he was born? Well, there it is. You'll see the B, and it matches my signature, little swirl and all. And I'll just sort of let you pass this around, because this is a book we're going to give away. And I looked at that, and one day, Friend's standing there in front of me with this. Of course, you know, I sleep with him right now. Every morning I wake up, if I think I'm going to quit this, there's this big bee, about 20 inches that's, you know, I've got my head on looking at going, I got you. And so I looked at the bee, and I thought to myself, wonder if I'm supposed to be doing something with that. So I really didn't know, and then I thought, maybe I am. Wonder if they can reincarnate like people do. Because see, I'm still trying to get Mike back right. The dog, that's an also ran. So I went, let me just check this out. I go on the web, and I create these Facebook pages. I'm just like everywhere on the Facebook page. You know, I'm trying to, we got a great, if you like animal life after death and you're on Facebook, come join our pet loss group. We have a animal reincarnation life after death pet group, and there's about 50,700 folks from all over the world. And it's really interesting because pet loss is universal, because losing your baby, the pain of it, whether it's someone in Malaysia or Slovenia or wherever, they hurt just as bad as we do. And we've got people who are translating, and it's really cool because we translate and talk en français or in Espanol or Portuguese and help these people, because the bottom line is we don't want our lack of ability to not be able to help heal somebody's heart. And I'm just excited about that. Then the next thing we're excited about is we have a Pet Life Radio. And on that, I answer questions. And you'll find like lots and lots of podcasts. Well, we're also going to do that in multiple languages, and we're going to have people call in and ask their questions, and then we're going to have people translate them on the air. So that it expands, because that book we're doing in, let's see, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and I think German by the end of next year. So it's going to be real interesting. And all that came from the fact of me going, wonder if this dog with this bee is supposed to mean something to me. And I'll ask about pet reincarnation stories. So I put them up, got lots from all over the world. And I had to prove it to myself. That's the bottom line. I had a lady that I did a reading for, and she was Buddhist. And when I did the reading for her, she said, you know, I was raised as a Buddhist, but I didn't think about pets. And I went, pardon? You were brought up with reincarnation, but I didn't think about pets. Is this true? She went, yeah. So that's interesting. And the United States is the slowest in accepting pet reincarnation. People all over the world, they come in the group and go, yeah, we've known this forever. And you're going, good. And then you'll have somebody from VAS, and they'll go, never heard of it. What is it? And you go, well, it's when your dead dog gets live again. And they sort of go, oh. Now, I've gotten thrown out of lots of pet love groups because they'll go, you know, this is not good. You are part of them. And I'm going, I don't think I work for the dark side. I think I work for the light. I mean, my whole being works for the Christ white light, and that's sort of the way it goes, but I'm not one of them. But I do get these emails on a rather frequent basis about, don't say this out loud, or you're crazy. And I go, oh well, I just got tapped to be one of the vehicles to open this wide up. So I figure, march on. And all they can do is just march on.